What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a movie that just hit VOD called We Need to Do Something. Let's get into it. So, the movie We Need to Do Something is a movie that came out in Tribeca a few months back, and it is a movie that is directed by Sean King O'Grady, who is actually pretty new to directing films, as far as like a feature film. He's done a lot of documentaries and produced a lot of movies alongside too. This is his first feature film, technically, other than the documentaries. The screenplay was written based off of a novella that was written by Max Booth III, who has worked on a lot of different novels in the past, like The Mind is a Razor Blade and Carnivorous Lunar Activities, which I have not read. So what is We Need to Do Something? Well, it's a horror thriller sort of film that takes place in one location. After Melissa, the daughter of this family is very dysfunctional, they're trying to hide out from a storm that's happening in their bathroom. They soon find out that they become trapped. With no sign of rescue, Melissa, the daughter, comes to realize that she and her girlfriend Amy might have something to do with the horrors that threaten her and her family. Some of the actors in this movie, we have Sierra McCormick, who is kind of a young starlet right now. She has been in the new American Horror Stories, where they do the smaller stories in each episode. She was in the first two segments of the house that they use in American Horror Story. She was also in VFW. We also have Pat Healy, who, if you remember, is from Cheap Thrills and The Innkeepers. We also have John James Cronin, who plays Bobby, the little brother in this movie. He actually has been in the TV series called Nosferatu. Also Vanessa Shaw, who plays the mom in this movie, and she actually was in the reboot of The Hills Have Eyes. And last but not least, we have Lizette Alexis, who plays Amy, the girl love interest of Melissa in this movie, who has been in a Total Eclipse TV series that I've never seen. So what do I think? Well, I actually enjoyed this movie quite a bit. This movie is something that is going to take place in a single location, and that in itself is a very hard task to accomplish, keeping the viewer interested in a single location, especially something as small as a fucking bathroom with a family going crazy. Now, this movie is really kind of ingenious in a lot of ways, because in order to pull off such a good film in a small one place location, you really have to keep the viewer's attention. And this movie does a fairly damn good job of keeping you interested as the story unfolds as to why they're trapped in here and what crazy shit is going on outside. And when I say crazy, use your imagination, which this movie does. It helps you to use your imagination against you to make you tense and to make you feel suspense. And during the process of this whole situation of them trying to get out, you start to wonder whether what's outside is worse than what's going on inside with this completely dysfunctional family that is essentially falling apart at the seams, which makes for a really interesting watch. Can you imagine watching a movie where everybody just got along and they just saved the day? I mean, kind of boring and tropey, wouldn't you think? So this movie actually really does a good job at what it does to keep you interested. And it's really kind of hard to talk about because there's a lot of things that happen in this one space that I can't give away. But let's just say there are some moments in this film that genuinely chilled me to my bone. I had one particular moment where my mouth was just open wide, like, oh my God. And I can just feel the chills now just thinking about that moment. And you guys know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. I think the performances in here are pretty good. Every character is a little different, so you're going to get a different vibe with each character, which I think was intentionally done. Pat Healy's really kind of manic and crazy and just like all over the fucking place, which adds to a lot of the tension in the show. You got the mom, who seems like she's the only foundation in the whole fucking family. The daughter, who's kind of aloof from her family and is not really connected to them. And you start to find out what's going on in her life while all of this is happening. And of course, the brother, who is just pretty much this innocent bystander in this whole fucked up mess. And some of the stuff that they sort of poke at that is going on outside is really interesting stuff here. Now, I say this a lot, but this movie is definitely not for everybody, but I think it is damn ingenious to make a movie on such a small budget and make your imagination run wild and still give you scares, thrills, and suspense and everything while going through this sort of fever dream story while you're watching. Some people are going to be upset about the ending. I'm not going to lie to you there. And that's probably going to divide a lot of people right there. Just the ending alone. Like, there is going to be some slow sort of dialogue situations. I mean, you're going to run across that in a movie that's taking place in a goddamn fucking bathroom. Obviously, there's going to be some family dynamics, but that's important to the understanding of the movie. And of course, you know, that's not going to be for everybody. But for me, but if you sit back and think about how much money they had to make a movie in a small space and make it bigger than it is, I think of movies kind of like Pontypool, which takes place in one location, a radio station, or, you know, when they did the War of the Worlds radio play that got everybody crazy. It's kind of like that. You don't really know what's going on outside, but through all the things that are happening inside, you get to kind of get a bigger picture of what is going on, and it is beyond your dreams, or maybe I should say nightmares. So it's really hard to discuss because I can't really spoil anything for you. But let's just say all the dynamics that are going on inside and everything that's going on outside really make for a really great story. It made a really big movie on an indie scale budget. And that is ultimately the goal with anybody that's going to make a movie on a smaller budget. They want to make it seem bigger. And I think that's going to hinder some people from really enjoying this one in some regards because they may not factor that into the film. And there's something to be said, I think, about a movie that can get your imagination and your suspense and, you know, your body tingling from all the crazy shit that you get to see on screen. There is definitely some gore. There's definitely some tragedy. There's some definite stuff that happens in this movie that is very fever dreamish, as I've said, and it is a little unsettling as to how this whole thing fucking unravels. But I would have to say that if I were to give this movie a score, I would give it an 8 out of 10. It could be a lot higher for a lot of other people, because it's just really ingenious how they, and creative really, of how they work your mind. And I think it definitely deserves that solid 8 for this movie. And it could be on the end of the year for me. Some people are going to be like, oh, I feel like it's a ripoff and this end was not that good for me. And, you know, there is some messaging in this movie that I think it paints a picture of sort of what a lot of us have been experiencing through this whole sort of pandemic, which, you know, it's like we've all been trapped inside with our families. And this is like a perfect example condensed into a hour and a half of sort of that same feeling. Like, what the fuck is going on outside? I'm going to look out this small little hole, the TV, and see what the world is like outside and which side is the safer side. And this movie is not going to answer all your questions, guys. So if those kind of movies piss you off, maybe take a back seat or give it a chance. I think it's worth a watch. It's currently available on Amazon. You can rent it for $5.99 in HD. Some people might want to wait, but if you like weird stuff that has fever dreamish shit and uses your imagination against yourself and has one of the more frightening scares I've had this year. Some people are calling it a jump scare, by the way, but I don't know. I think it's like creepy as hell, man. It spooked me really bad. Both me and Christina were like, oh, no. But anyway, I'll stop talking about this movie. And you know how I like to go into the little weirder stuff that might be a little bit more metaphor and might be a little bit more slow burnish in some regards. I wouldn't consider this a slow burn film. It just knows how to take its time to really pop off in certain spots. It does have those little treats along the way that will keep you interested. But for those that are kind of on the fence about that kind of film, maybe you should wait. But I personally think this is one of the better films this year. Congratulations to everyone involved. And let me know what you guys think if you've seen this movie. I would love to hear what you think about this movie because I know not everybody's going to like it, but that's okay. Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this content, please hit the like button and the subscribe button, of course, and the bell notification and everything. Tell your parents, whatever. Anyway, thank you guys so much. And as always, long live the void.